What's going on, guys? Asian Guy here, bringing you an incredibly long overdue video, and I do apologize that it's so late. This is the tier list video, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make it a part 1 or a part 2. Because tier list videos are so long, I'm not sure people want to see me rambling on about specific legend captains for that long in a video. If you would like to see me do a part 2 talking about different legends and different tiers of legends, because originally I wanted to cover every single legend in the game, but doing so will end up making a video well over 1 hour long, and that's just too much. You know, if I want to talk about every legend for around 1 minute 30 seconds, even that I don't think is long enough to discuss certain legends in their own context and how good they are. But I'm sure you guys understand that already. But without further ado, let's get into a tier list. Now, this is specifically for ranking units as captains. Now, this is not just looking at their captain abilities, but more so how they function as a captain and how well they operate with their dream teams, their specific teams that they need to beat certain piece of content. So all the flexibility and all the units will be available to them, or hypothetically available to them, when we're talking about this tier list. I believe that's the only fair way to look at them. I don't think it's fair to say, for example, V2 Rayleigh is fantastic because you can put all of these subs on him, and I have all of these subs in my box, whereas I don't have any of the Germa 66, therefore Judge sucks. I don't think that's a reasonable argument whatsoever when it comes to comparing legends and how powerful they are and how good they are at clearing things, beating things, how good they are to play with overall. That therefore, however, does make it so this list is not necessarily realistic to people who re-roll, realistic to all players who don't have all units at their disposal like myself. I also don't have every unit at my disposal, but I am still aware, and I have played with a lot of these legends, and I think that it's best to look at them when you can use them at their maximum potential, basically. Number 2, there will be another list ranking units as subs. I also believe that separating legend captains and legend subs is an absolutely huge thing. If you're talking about overall legends, maybe Shirahoshi might make your top 10. If you're talking about legend captains, Shirahoshi will definitely not make your top 10, but if you're talking about legend subs, Shirahoshi will definitely make your top 10. So trying to mix them up, mix and match, I think makes things very, very complicated. I know Totsuki does have like a special shout out section to these kind of legends, and I think that works fine as well. But I personally just want to separate these two completely, legend captains away from legend subs, but more so because people weight captains way more higher than subs. If you have a better captain, you're more likely to clear things, but of course you do need a full team to be able to clear things, unless you're doing an easy forest where you only need like 2 or 3 units. Number 3, these rankings are weighted on the Japan server meta, the Japanese meta. I don't know why I said that so weird. Well, the Japanese meta, flexibility of teams and subs, safety and speed, longevity, damage, rainbow maxing, and niche factors. And by rainbow maxing, I mean things like them at their full potential, fully limit broken, full sockets, all of that good stuff. Niche factors would be something like Neptune or Buggy. Originally, this wasn't just the legend tier list. I also had units like Neptune on there because I believe Neptune is more valuable than certain other legends in the game. Now, flexibility of teams and subs, for example, is what would separate G4V2 Luffy away from Frankie Legend, whereas G4V2 Luffy can basically run any unit on the game. Frankie can almost run any unit on the game, but it is class restricted. So that's what I mean by flexibility of teams and subs. And then of course, safety and speed is very self-explanatory. Japanese meta is self-explanatory. Damage, I have not really put too much weight on damage because I believe most legends can easily hit the threshold of damage required to clear content now. The last 20 or so legends anyway do that very much easily. Longevity is basically saying how long can these legends last before they become outdated, like Time Skip Luffy or Kainu V1, before they're no longer future proof and before content becomes really difficult for them to clear. So like V1 Lucci 6+, when he first came out, was very, very good. He was pretty decent in clearing many things, but right now I don't even think he can clear more than 90% of the content. He's probably around an 80% clear rate, around that much, unless he relies on leeching. Now that's number 4. Leeching will not be considered as an advantage. For example, Lucy X Cavendish means that Cavendish is leeching, and it means Cavendish is bad. He needs that Lucy to be able to clear something. Double Cavendish will not be able to clear many things, whereas Cavendish and Lucy together might be able to clear things, but that's because Lucy is doing the hard work, he's carrying, and Cavendish is really not contributing anything. Whereas on the other hand, Lucy X Blackbeard, both captains are contributing something, and that's okay. But I do want to specifically talk about that because I know a lot of people like to say, oh, you compare this legend up with this legend. Like a lot of people you say, oh, Jinbei's fantastic. He has 100% clear rate. And then when you see it, it's actually Jinbei and G4 legend put together. And for me personally, I don't think that's saying anything about Jinbei. If anything, it's just saying Jinbei's a leech. He can't do anything by himself with a double Jinbei, but he needs that G4. Whereas G4, he'd be able to clear it absolutely fine. I'm talking about 6+ Luffy, the G4 V1, the Psy version. Back in the day, a lot of people were using that to defend Jinbei, and I don't think that's a valid argument. That's just my opinion. And then number 5, this list will not take into consideration free-to-play friendliness, nor will it look at the current global meta. I'm sorry to global fans, but I do believe when you can look back on this when these legends come to global, and you'll be able to see, because all the Colosseums will probably line up at that point. But the Japanese meta has again changed. We're getting new debuffs yet again. I don't know why they want to keep introducing these new debuffs, but it is what it is. Japan is dropping the burn meta now, well, not the burn meta, but the burn debuff. But we are getting different metas now moving into Japan, and a lot of previous legends are starting to now become more and more outdated. So I do think it's better to look at the Japanese meta when talking about the game from my perspective anyway. And then number 6, very important, most important, the list is purely for fun, to encourage discussion. So please do leave your comments, your thoughts and your opinions. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will possibly leave a link in the description down below. I might do a separate video specifically asking for respondents for this one. Is that I am very interested in seeing what the community thinks are the top 10 legends for OPTC. So I will leave a link to a survey in the description down below when I create that survey, and you guys can go ahead and leave what you believe is the top 10. I might also leave a section there if you want to add like any shout outs, any bonus shout outs, or any specific explanations why you put this unit here and there. I genuinely do want to know what people think, because I'm tired, and I know some people are going to troll around with this, but I'm tired of seeing people saying Nekomamushi is like a top 10 legend, because he's not. He's not even top 20 anymore, and there I said it. I don't even think overall as a legend, including as a sub, he is definitely not top 20 anymore. Maybe as a captain, he just inches into top 20, but Nekomamushi, I'm sorry, but the Nekomamushi meta is dead. It's dead. D-E-A-D. It's dead. But let's get into the tier list. I'll see you in a moment. Bye-bye. Alrighty, before we do dive into the tier list, again, I just want to stress the criteria is very important. This is just my opinion at the end of the day. Don't take it too personally. If I've insulted your favorite legend, I do apologize. It is just my opinion. You're more than welcome to disagree or agree with it. But please do let me know your comments and your thoughts in the comment section down below. I look very much forward to that. And I am awaiting all the barrage of hate and the angry comments like, how dare you not put this legend in this position, and how dare you put that legend in that position, where people haven't even blinked at the criteria. And those kind of comments, I probably won't even acknowledge them. But for those people who make informed comments, who put their actual opinions and their own personal thoughts and opinions in there with actual thought and respect in a nice manner, I will more than happy. I'm very much looking forward to having a conversation with you guys. So I look forward to that. But let's begin. So for those of you, the main reason I actually ended up doing this at long last is because I did leave this mini preview in a previous video, just in a green screen video, the should you pull for Global Akainu Aokiji V2 sugo-fest and the Japanese Big Mom X Brook sugo-fest. I did leave this up for maybe like 30 seconds, and it was only in the background, and some sharp-eyed viewers, several of you guys, did point out like, oh damn, that's a tier list, why have you never posted it? And the reason is because I'm just lazy. These videos take an incredibly long time to edit, and if I did a full tier list, which I'm not doing, I'm just doing the top tier this video, it would make things a drag. Now, this tier list is outdated. This was up till the release of Tesoro, Guild Tesoro, Legend Guild Tesoro, and of course G4 V2 at the time, #1 by like a clear mile. He was #1, and then V2 Shanks, Luffy X Ace were very, very good as well. So horizontally, they are all the same. Horizontally, they are equal. Vertically, they're different ranks. Hopefully that makes sense. So G4 V2 is vertically above everyone else, so he's above all of them. Whereas, for example, V2 Akainu is vertically below V2 Shanks and G4 V2, but above Rayleigh. So he is above Rayleigh, but below Luffy and also below Shanks. But Shanks and Luffy are not equal. Luffy is better than Shanks. That's how it works. Hopefully that makes sense. I think it makes sense. If it doesn't, I apologize, but horizontally, they're the same. So V2 Shanks, Luffy X Ace, I rank the same. V2 Akainu, V2 Aokiji, Lucy, Katsukuri, V2 Dofi. At the time, I ranked the same, but this list has completely changed now. It looks completely different. And I also kind of forced this list to be a top 10. So again, it's a bit outdated because I did want to have Robin and Frankie in there alongside the likes of V2 Rayleigh. I think they're all interchangeable around that level. But this is the captain list. This is what it was. Maybe for global players, this list is more relevant and more useful because they've got all of these legends now other than G4V2 and Katakuri. So if you do have V2 Shanks and Luffy X Ace, honestly, probably don't go too hard on G4V2. You have a ton of legends already, which are very, very good. That will last you a long, long time up till Tesoro comes out. Now, after the release of Tesoro and what we have today, Big Mom, this is the new Captain Tier S for me. This is my opinion. Don't worry if you disagree. Let me know if you disagree. But let me explain why I put every single legend where I have. And this is exactly why the video is going to take a long time, because I want to focus on every legend individually. If I make cuts in the video, it's because I've either said something wrong, or I've either stuttered and it's not perfect to how I want it. It's not up to the standard I want it. So I do apologize if the video becomes a little bit janky and there's some random cuts here and there. So the best legend captains up till 2018 September. So up till the release of Legend Garp, which both came out on global and Japan at the same time. The kings and queens of all legends, the best legends, the most valuable legends, the MVPs of the Legend Society of One Piece Treasure Cruise is G4V2, the king, and the queen, Big Mom. Now, for me personally, if I could, and I had the space, I would shift Big Mom a tiny bit, just a tiny bit above G4V2, having played with them a lot, both of them. They're like my main go-to teams. If I want to clear something blind, if I want to clear something difficult, I will now rely on these two all the time. But Big Mom, she's got that niche value. She can auto-farm to a degree. She can semi-auto-farm. But the thing with Big Mom for me is her drawback and her advantages. I would say her advantages, disadvantages would give her a score of like 105. Whereas G4's advantages would give him a score of 100. But his disadvantages are 0. He gets no deductions for disadvantages because he doesn't have any disadvantages. He's like a flawless legend. But the thing with Big Mom is, while she can't use any subs, I would give her like a score of -5 for that. Whereas the advantages, I'd give her like 110, because I feel like her advantages are better than G4's, and they're really something you can just look over and brush over. Although in the future, it's very likely that if we get a ton of very difficult quick content, it's going to struggle a lot. Big Mom will struggle a lot. That is another disadvantage for her. You would not use her for quick content, whereas G4, you can pretty much run him into everything. Although again, Dex content is something you wouldn't really want to be focusing too much on with G4V2. So, why do I think Big Mom is slightly above? I think because she can't be binded or paralyzed in her enraged form, and she goes through all defensive effects and also buffs and barriers. Really, for me, is crazy. Other than quick units, other than quick enemies, Big Mom is able to easily hit over 10 million damage in enrage mode after you pop maybe 2 or 3 specials to boost her up. If you miss, it doesn't matter. You just tap the screen once, and then she goes through those barriers. She can't be binded, can't be paralyzed, only despaired or special silenced, which is still a problem. But if you can get around those, she'll go through barriers for you automatically, and defensive buffs, resilience, all that kind of annoying garbage. And she can easily hit over 10 million damage. And you don't need 10 million damage for most bosses. 6, 7, 8 million is more than enough now. Which honestly is a bit crazy to hear that 6, 7 million, 8 million is like the standard we have today. But it is what it is with the newest Colosseums. We're seeing 7 million, 8 million, that kind of stuff. But for me, it is absolutely insane that she can do all of that. She is, however, does suffer from a few bugs. Hopefully that does get fixed. That is another downside to her if we're trying to look at this as realistically as possible. But I do think Big Mom does edge it out a little bit on the advantages, but she is brought back a little bit by the disadvantages she has to balance her out with G4V2. Now, G4V2 has inherent orb manipulation with very good beneficial orbs. He has tons of them. You can get the 4 times attack multiplier very easily if you have the correct subs, and we are looking at this whereby we have all the units in the game, so it's an even playing field for all legends. It's not fair to say that, oh, for this team, G4V2, I can use Dex Shirahoshi, but I can't use Dex Shirahoshi for Big Mom, because both of them benefit from having Dex Shirahoshi, because you get a full board of Semler Orbs. Semler Orbs can't be shuffled away. They're exactly like Rainbow Orbs for Big Mom. And then with G4V2, these are all triggers to get that 8 threshold mark to transform this Luffy into G4V2. And of course, the damage reduction is nice. Orb manipulation is nice. And of course, Tankman is incredible. That insane damage reduction, if you do need it, most of the time you don't need it, but there are uses for it, makes him very, very good. He's safe, brain dead, plenty of things to go through. Let's look at the stipulations once again, how I rank it. For the Japanese meta, how does G4V2 deal with it? Absolutely A-OK, crushes everything. How does Big Mom deal with it? Absolutely A-OK, absolutely crushes everything. And I know Daifuku Coliseum is a big recency bias point there, because Daifuku Coliseum, 3 mini bosses, or 2 mini bosses and 1 boss, all of them are decks designed specifically for Big Mom. But if you check out Alex Kim and other top OPTC players as well, you will see that Big Mom literally stomps all the other hard Coliseums as well. You got Kuma Coliseum in there, Kid Coliseum in there, Neptune Coliseum, she crushes all of them. And annoyingly, a lot of those do have barriers and defensive buffs, and she bypasses all of those. So as I said, advantage is a little bit up there. Flexibility of teams and subs, I would obviously give that to G4V2 well over Big Mom. Big Mom can't use Psy and Int. She can use them, but she can't draw out 100% of their potential. Safety and speed, both of them are top class in safety and speed. Longevity, both of them again top class, very future proof. I don't see them falling off anytime soon. I would give them at least 1 year, which is an incredibly long time now in this power creep shift in the Japanese server and also the global server. I would give them a long time before they fall off. Damage through the roof. Again, all of these legends in the S tier for me, damage is through the roof, so I would pretty much say damage is kind of insignificant at this point. And then Rainbow Max means both of them have very similar Rainbow Maxes. 90% chance to crit for 10% damage. That kind of bonus really does add up as well. And then niche factors, I would give the edge to Big Mom for that. But G4 does also have niche. He's fun to play with in the same way that Big Mom is also fun to play with. So there you have it. I would give those the top spots, the king and queens of the legends. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Big Mom and G4V2. Or would you put maybe Big Mom above? Or would you put G4 as above? I'm very excited to see. Honestly, very, very excited to see. Let's move on to S2, the second rank in Tier S. Alright there, had to catch a breather, but we do have Whitebeard Marco dual units alongside Luffy X Ace dual units. Now, Whitebeard and Marco's captain switch ability will reduce paralysis and silence by 1 turn, so you can do that twice every single turn, which is very, very handy. Paralysis and silence we do see a lot, and they do normally come hand in hand. And likewise with Luffy X Ace, we have slot bind, removal completely, and changing the orb into a matching orb for the Luffy or the Ace, as well as removing despair completely, which is also crazy. The captain switch mechanic is an insane utility function. Both of these captains have insane attack multipliers. Both can go up to 4.25, which is a lot of damage, whereas with Whitebeard and Marco, they have a very much flat 3.5 times attack boost for either Psy or Int, depending on which one you have. For Marco, it's going to be Int. For Whitebeard, it's going to be Psy. And then when you switch them around, it's vice versa. And for everyone else, they have a 2.75 times attack boost, which means they are essentially a Rainbow Captain, although you do really want to gear it towards a Psy or Int team. Whereas for G4V2, he can get that flat 4 times for absolutely everyone. And for Big Mom, it's red, blue, green. I say red, blue, green, but it should be strength, dex, quick. But you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. Luffy X Ace is rainbow technically, but only for free spirit, so not really rainbow, but a brilliant free spirit lead. And free spirit right now, along with cerebrals, in my opinion, are the top 2 classes right now. We are getting another free spirit cerebral beautiful unit, which is going to be Treasure Map Shanks. As of making the video, I'm not sure what he does yet. Has it been leaked? It does seem like it. So this V2 Shanks will be reducing 1 turn the barriers that cover the enemy's HP, so reduce 1 turn of barriers for the enemy. Recover burn damage. Seems like we're going to be getting burn damage a lot now. That debuff is looking like it's going to come back a lot, and that does a fixed amount of damage every time you hit a perfect, which is kind of lame. And what that means is we're going to have a ton more barriers, a lot more barriers as well, that forces you to hit perfects. And it greatly increases the possibility of orb rate matching, which is nice as well. Reshuffles all orbs, including block, and 60 times of Shanks' attack tap timing bonus. So that is a nice bonus there, just like Sabo as well. So makes Dex Orb count as beneficial for the team is also very nice as well. That is a Free Spirit Cerebral sub and also a Rainbow sub, the next Treasure Map Mode unit, but it does fit on Luffy X Ace. I do feel like Free Spirit is still going to get a lot more love in the coming batches that we will have in the future, and they're still very much relevant. So if you did pull Luffy X Ace on Global, congratulations. I would say they're hands down the best legend on Global right now, alongside Lucy and V2 Dofi, but later on in the game you'll see like a bigger divide and shift. And the other thing I should have pointed out earlier as well is that Big Mom is driven and powerhouse, and if you want to go with a class team, I don't think class teams are the main meta right now, so Luffy X Ace is the exception here. I think color is the meta on Japan right now. It's better to run a specific color team because color advantage is huge, but Luffy X Ace has a lot of color utility as well. Lots of different subs on there can fit on a Luffy X Ace team. And of course the inherent utility that comes with the captain switching is absolutely fantastic. Likewise with Marco, Whitebeard Marco is very much a rainbow unit team. You can run rainbow units on them when they're in the dual unit form. Very powerful, damage reduction, high recovery, meat orbs count as beneficial, sign in orbs count as beneficial, depending on your ship maybe another orb will count as beneficial. So basically very easy to get a full board of matching orbs on them, which is what you're definitely going to get because of their special, just like Luffy X Ace, except they can't change block orbs, which is the big downside. I don't believe Whitebeard and Marco can also change block orbs either, but let me just quickly double check that. Whitebeard and Marco, can you change block orbs? The answer is dun 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 dun. The answer is unfortunately no, they cannot change block orbs. So there you have it. That is a bit of a downside, but still not a big deal because there are plenty of utility units for both teams that will get rid of block orbs. Let's move on to S2. And if I didn't say so already, their damage is also through the roof. Everyone's damage here is basically through the roof. The top 4 legends here, G4V2, Big Mom, Whitebeard and Marco, Luffy X Ace. I want to point this out now before I forget because S3 is very specific. These 4 legends in the top 2 slots are brain dead. They're literally brain dead to play with. If you go look at any top YouTubers channels for OPTC content, for just clearing stuff, for example OPTC Fanatic or Alex Kim, you'll see that Whitebeard and Marco basically everywhere, doing anything and everything pretty much. G4V2 as well. And Big Mom, if you check Alex Kim's channel, he's got a lot of Big Mom showcase as well. And Luffy X Ace is starting to come back more and of course still very much relevant. Now S3, this is the 3rd highest rank in the S tier. For me personally, this would be my worst batch because it's very reliant on you hitting your perfects. All 3 of these legends are super reliant on you hitting your perfects. If you fluff your perfects, you can be punished significantly with just a straight up taking the L on that specific run. Whereas with Whitebeard and Marco, Luffy X Ace, Big Mom, and G4 Luffy, there's a lot less emphasis on having to hit your perfects. There's a lot less stress and focus and concentration required to maximize the utility of those units. But with Katakuri, if you don't hit your damage threshold, you're in trouble. You won't get the delay off, you'll be in trouble. V2 Akainu, you lose an insane amount of damage, 1 million damage. If you miss a single perfect, you lose 1 million damage at the end of the turn, and that can be the difference between life and death. Taking someone down to 20% HP and then butt clapping you. And same with V2 Sanji, you can fluff your barriers and whatnot. It's very frustrating. These are the kind of legends that I do not like playing with, which is why V2 Sanji for me is so low down on the list of the legends that I want to pull. I still want to pull him because I don't have him, but at the end of the day, whether I have him or not really doesn't bother me. Katakuri aside though, is because I love his voice actor and his character. His gameplay himself, I do like. It's a safe play style. He has damage reduction as well, inherent really high damage reduction just like Robin. He is cerebral as well. Most people use cerebrals with him, and Katakuri does seem to still be able to clear most things, or if anything, not if anything, if all things, basically with no problem whatsoever. Although his runs do take a little bit longer, so speed wise he drops off in comparison to those previous 4 legends. Whereas with V2 Akainu, he is not safe, but his speed is very high. So the kind of polar opposite to Katakuri, except both of them have emphasis on high risk, high reward, just like V2 Sanji as well. V2 Sanji and V2 Akainu, I feel like, are very similar. If you fluff a perfect, you're basically screwed, and that's not something you really want to be doing a lot of the time. So their main drawback overall is human error, and I can't weigh human error too much. Just because I'm a bad player doesn't make these legends bad, if that makes sense. I shouldn't use my own bias against being crap at the game, make these legends be any worse, because they are definitely on paper. If you made a robot play the game, probably they would be like some of the best legends at the top S2 or S1. So let me know what you guys think about that. V2 Akainu, not my style, but I always rely on him when it comes to speed farming. But because of that, I am fully aware through painful experiences what it feels like to miss a perfect, lose 1 million damage and then lose. Feels bad, man. V2 Sanji, I can imagine, is very similar. And Katakuri, if I pull him one day, please, Bandai, I would love to give him a try. Tanky captain, safe captain, slow captain, brain dead captain. Good stuff. A little bit restrictive as well. All three of those are way more restrictive than the previous units other than Luffy X Ace, because Katakuri can't really run certain units that have 2 classes or a singular class, or you can't run multiple units with that. Maybe you can run like one unit that doesn't fit into his team. Not the end of the world if that happens, but still not great. V2 Akainu as well. A lot of people use Time Skip Kid on him because he's a very good sub, but Time Skip Kid gets no boost from V2 Akainu. Again, not too flexible with the team. You're really relying on int and strength subs, and overall they're good but not the best. And then Sanji, you're looking at fighter subs, and I still think fighters still aren't that amazing, but the damage that V2 Sanji bolsters out or puts out is really crazy, so he's good at clapping stuff as well. S4. Now S4 is where things get controversial. I think a lot of people will move S4 units up or down, and the reason I put them all around here is because yesterday I actually left a comment in the OPTC subreddit Discord that isn't it crazy that Lucy might not even be a top 10 legend anymore. But when I said that, I realized, you know what, that's kind of weird to say. I still do think personally, when I think of Lucy, instantly the first thing I think of is he's a good legend, a top tier legend, not the best legend, but he's still definitely a top tier legend. So therefore I didn't want to make this a top 10 list. I decided to put all of these legends in here. How many do we have here? 4, 7, 12. We have 12 legends in here. I originally wanted to put 6 plus Enel in here, but I did end up dropping him down to A. He is a little bit more tedious to play with compared to all of these legends, so I don't think he is fully deserving of the S tier just yet. I know he can smash a lot of content, but because he does take a lot of time to actually do it, I don't think he deserves the top spot area just like these units. And also, realistically, my real reason is that I suck in Photoshop, so I didn't resize all of these correctly, and obviously I can only put 5 units maximum per row. So 6 plus Enel would be on the borderline. He'll be on the borderline. But S4, V2 Shanks. And I know I said this is a legend captain list, but it's also very important, and this is where JP meta comes into hand here. And in the JP meta, you see all the top JP players. V2 Shanks unfortunately has pretty much been relegated to a V2 Akainu or a Whitebeard Marco sub, which does suck. It really does suck, because I still think V2 Shanks is a top legend captain, but at the same time there are many things he does not do too great with. He doesn't deal too great with, especially barriers, whereby, for example, V2 Akainu with the end of turn damage after you've broken the barrier, it really does help out. And then V2 Shanks kind of drops off in that regard. And of course, V2 Shanks isn't specifically dedicated to being an int captain or an int strength captain. You either run him mono int, or V2 Shanks and another mono color, or int plus another color, and that's not too flexible. He is tanky, he's very safe, he's brilliant when it comes to his special, one of the best specials in the game, high chain boost, brilliant orb manipulation, basically flawless orb manipulation, almost flawless, and of course the 2.25 times attack boost, a rainbow attack boost, which is absolutely crazy. So I just gotta say, or I wouldn't say rainbow attack boost, but the relevant attack boost. Yeah, V2 Shanks, I would love to put him in S3, but I feel like when it comes to speed now, he isn't on par with V2 Akainu and V2 Sanji. And when it comes to safety, I would say he is slightly worse off compared to Katakuri. But overall, as an overall package, he is a superb legend. And that's why in the more global-sided tier list, he's right at the number 2 spot there. So do keep that in mind. I do feel like he has been relegated though in the Japanese meta, which is a little bit unfortunate. And then we also have Judge 6+. Now Judge 6+, on paper, I would say he actually has the best captain ability on the game, if it wasn't for the fact that he needs one of every single color. If he didn't need that, he actually has the best captain ability in the game. He almost has a 4 times flat attack boost, damage reduction, high rate of matching orbs, or higher or increased rate of matching in orbs, if I'm not mistaken, or at the least he makes it so that negative orbs or non-matching orbs, or the worst of orbs you could have there, do count as beneficial orbs, which is really crazy for me, and it's a 4 times attack boost when he has that matching orb. But because of the way his team functions and the normal units you would use on his team, most of the time 5 out of 7 orbs will count as beneficial to you depending on your sub. So that is him. His utility units though from the Germa 66, they don't get around everything, they get around most things, which is very nice as well. But he's incredibly tanky, he's incredibly safe, and of course most of the time you're going to be running Zunisha with him, so hitting perfects is really not a problem either. But having said that, his flexibility does take quite the big hit. You can't run any sub you would like to run on him. He's also limited to Driven and Powerhouse as well, just like Big Mom is. Interesting stuff. Good legend, terrible attack animation, doesn't have all the subs in the world to be useful to him, so I have put him down in S4. I do think his speed isn't as high as the other ones above him, other than Katakuri being the exception for speed there. And then when it comes to Japanese meta, I feel like not all of the Germa 66 and all the specific relevant units you do need, or the best units you would like to use to remove certain debuffs as well as maintaining certain damage boosts for the judge team, you can't mix all of those in as easily compared to like G4V2, Big Mom, White Bin Marco, Luffy X Ace, and then the other units there down there, so in the S3 section. V2 Aokiji. V2 Aokiji, for me personally, I was wondering, is he really still top tier? He is very tanky, very tanky. Psi units have a ton of utility. Quick units are pretty damn good for damage boosting as well. But in my opinion, he's just so inferior to the Gear 4 Luffy V2, who you can also just use you can use Quick and Psi units on that G4V2 Luffy. I do feel like the Aokiji is somewhat inferior. He doesn't have anything niche like V2 Akainu does, whereas Katakuri, Sanji, V2, I forgot to mention, those three all have something niche as well, which is nice added to them. Whereas V2 Aokiji is just very plain. He's tanky, he has a lot of base damage, which increases to even higher base damage. It does require you to hit in a specific sequence of Psi, Quick. But he has a lot of damage, he's tanky, he has great orb manipulation, so I would still say he's up there. It's just hard for me to, when you're trying to compare him to someone like G4V2, and I really shouldn't be comparing him specifically one-to-one to another legend, and more so to every other legend, he's just really like a discount version of that G4V2, which is why I feel like maybe he might be, you know, interchangeable with like 6+ Anel or V2 Rayleigh. But if I had to put someone out of this list, it would be that Aokiji. But moving on, V2 Dofi also. So here, I would say V2 Shanks and 6+ Judge are safely in S4. The three that I was very confused with making the 10th place when I originally had this as a top 10 was V2 Aokiji, V2 Dofi, and Lucy. I think those three all come down to personal preference, what you're doing, what the content is like, what the JP meta is demanding for. And out of those, I would have put V2 Dofi as the highest right now. I think V2 Dofi is the one that's been the most relevant on the Japanese meta right now. That extra damage coming in with his special is always going to be crazy good. He isn't as fast as other legends unless you're doing very easy content, in which case you have the full deck of beneficial orbs. We're not necessarily talking about legends running into the most difficult pieces of content. Also, speed farming easy pieces of content is very important. So Hody 6+ is quite high up on my list. He's not in the top tier, but he is quite high up. But V2 Dofi, if you have the correct team, every single orb will count as beneficial except for strength, but he reduces the appearance of strength orbs to basically nothing. So that is a nice perk as well. But V2 Dofi, very tanky, very safe legend, hasn't got the most utility. Driven units do have some utility, but they don't have the best utility in the game. All their utility is like very specific units, whereas for example Free Spirit, you have units that specifically remove 3 or 4 different debuffs, you know, Valentine's Nami. You got those kind of units which are very handy to have. Bobbins as well, if I'm not mistaken, is Free Spirit, and he removes so many different things, so you only need one slot to deal with all the debuffs you might find in a specific piece of content, whereas for Driven you might need 1, 2 or even 3 units to deal with those debuffs, which is not the greatest thing in the world. But the raw damage, The raw tankiness, the safety, the great beneficial orb manipulation makes him a very, very smooth legend to play with. He's still very much relevant. He can clear everything. And likewise with Lucy. Now Lucy, I feel like Lucy got revitalized a lot by the Big Mom badge. You got units like Cracker there coming in with great orb manipulation and a 1.75 times attack and 1.75 orb boost. All of that in one special works wonderfully well for Lucy as well. So that's another massive bust, another massive boost for Lucy, which brings him back into the top tier. I was putting him on the borderline with Enel 6+ and V2 Aokiji, but I do still think Lucy is top tier. Very tanky. He's still got that 3.75 times attack boost flat all the time. Very good for speed running. Big drawback being you can't utilize Sire Int units as much as Big Mom can. Beg your pardon, because you will go down to a 2.75 times attack boost if you do that. But he's tanky as well. Very safe legend. Crowship is good. Relatively fast as well. And overall, very superb unit. So that is my top 13. Or what I wanted to have as my top 10. This video is well over 30 minutes now, so I do apologize, guys. But I wanted to go into some depth with every single legend on there. I know I might be biased because I don't have all of these legends. On here, I don't have Whitebeard Marco, I don't have V2 Shanks, I don't have Katakuri, and I don't have V2 Sanji. So I would still say I have a reasonable take on most of these legends. I play with a lot of these extensively. V2 Sanji, while I haven't played with him, maybe he would be an S2 because I still do see a crap ton of V2 Sanji videos whereby he smashes all content. So I have spoken to Alex Kim directly as well, and I do follow OPTC Fanatics videos and a few other Japanese YouTubers whose names I can't pronounce because they're in kanji, but a lot of them do like to use V2 Sanji to clear stuff. So maybe V2 Sanji I would have to put in S2. If I pulled him, I might be thinking otherwise, but for my own personal playstyle, I would put him down in S3. A lot of those players are much better than me at hitting perfects, but I would still say human error is still definitely something you would have to take into consideration when it comes to all of these legends. So that is that. Also with V2 Dofi, I should mention, and also Aokiji as well, you also got human error in there as well as a bit of a drawback. If you mess up with your hits, then you are going to be punished more so than all the other legends. Likewise with Lucy too. If you miss a perfect or you miss too many perfects, you'll be in trouble. But otherwise, guys, that is my S tier for the captains. These are the best captains in the game right now, up till September 2018, for up till when Legend Garp was released. If you would like to see who I put in A tier, B tier, C tier, E tier, D tier, F tier, Z tier, however many tiers it goes down at this point, please do let me know in the comment section down below. I will leave a poll, or I will leave not a poll, I will leave a survey in the comment section as well as the description down below. Please do fill that out if you would like to contribute to a future video discussing the top 10 legends. I'm not sure whether it will be legend captains or overall legends, so do pay attention to the title of the survey if you want to fill that out. But I'm very much excited to see what the community thinks are the best legends in the game. It's very, very exciting stuff. I do want to know what people think. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and holy moly, I actually did that in one take. I'm so proud of myself because this normally takes me so many takes. I did that in one take, talking about the entirety of those 13 legends or the 12 legends. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm out of breath, there's saliva in my mouth, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I look forward to discussing with many of you guys, and bye-bye.